As discussed before, that we have to today discuss the fluorescein pattern in the hard contact lenses. We are going to further include this video in the pattern of hard contact lenses, right? So here we are going to discuss that what will be the fluorescein pattern for evaluating the proper fit of the patient who is wearing the hard contact lens, right? So the fluorescein pattern assessment is done in the hard contact lens only, and this is because that hard contact lens are not water loving, and that is the reason why we can do the fluorescein pattern, because the fluorescein has the same pH as of water. And if we are doing the fluorescein pattern in the soft contact lens, what will happen, that soft contact lens are as the water loving, they will absorb this fluorescein and there will be discoloration of the soft contact lens, or the fluorescein may get attached to the contact lens and it can damage the surface of the soft contact lens. That is why we are using the fluorescein pattern only for in the case of the hard contact lenses and not in the soft contact lenses, right? So hard contact lenses do not absorb the water. That is the reason that fluorescein does not get attached or attracted onto the surface of the contact lens, right? And that is particularly the hard contact lens. So today we are going to discuss about the fluorescein pattern in the hard contact lens. So what is the fluorescein pattern? That you inject the sodium fluorescein. You inject the sodium fluorescein into the patient's eye. It's not basically injection, it is you just instill the drop of the fluorescein, sodium fluorescein dye. It's actually basically the dye, right? So you inject this dye onto the patient's eye. How you instill it, you will just have some drops of fluorescein dye, eye drops, and you can also add the strips. You get the strips for the tear breakup time. These are the same fluorescein strip you are going to use for the fluorescein pattern. These are the sodium fluorescein strips that are available for the fluorescein pattern assessment as well as for the tear breakup time. So fluorescein has a lot of benefits in optometry. So now this dye is instilled. It is the strip is just placed onto the surface of the conjunctiva. So you just place a strip, that the strip that is having a dye orange color on it and whose pH is similar to that of tear and blood, right? So now what will happen, you will just touch the conjunctiva and the dye, that orange color, will move to the conjunctiva now. And what will happen, that ask the patient to blink several times. Okay, so ask the patient to blink for several seconds, and what will happen, that this dye will be equally distributed along the palpebral fissure or along the eye of the patient, right? So what will happen, that you can see a orange color that has been spread onto the patient's surface of the eye, and you have to ask the patient to be seated onto the slit lamp, and you have to on the cobalt blue filter. Over here, one more important thing is the cobalt blue filter, right? So in the slit lamp we have an option of the cobalt blue. You have to on that filter, and you can see then what will happen, the fluorescence principle will occur. Fluorescence is the principle on which we are doing all the type of tests that include the fluorescein dye, right? What is it, that the blue color of the cobalt blue filter will strike the orange color and they will emit the color of greater wavelength, that is eventually the green color, right? So the blue light is going and hitting to the surface of the eye, but the shorter wavelength is when hit to the fluorescein, what will happen, there will be the emission of the greater wavelength light, that is the green light, and on the slit lamp you are going to observe the green color in the surface of the patient's eye, right? So I am going to add the pictures of the patterns as well, where you can see that while you are observing through that filter, through the cobalt blue, you are going to see a type of green image, right? So that is how you can evaluate the patterns of the hard contact lens, that either the fit is either the fit is steep, is flat, or is the optimal ones, right? As we are discussing the fluorescein pattern in hard contact lenses, you all know that the hard contact lenses are smaller in the size. So this is the eye and this is the cornea. So on the surface of the cornea, they are only present. So this is a hard contact lens, right? So this is the hard contact lens that only rest on the surface of the cornea, and they are smaller in diameter. So while you have placed the contact lens on the surface of the cornea and you want to check that either the contact lens is steep, flat, or optimal, you need to do the fluorescein pattern. You have instilled the fluorescein dye into the patient's eye. Now, what are some important tips you should know for understanding the fitting assessment of the fluorescein pattern, right? So, the contact lens is in a way that this is a cornea, right? So, this is a cornea. This is cornea and this is basically eye, right? So contact lens is made or is rested onto the surface of the cornea in such a way that the contact lens should touch the edges while not touch the corneal apex of the cornea, and then again should be attached to the edges, right? So what does this mean? That hard contact lens should not touch the corneal surface on the center, while it should be touching the cornea at the edges. So there are 3 points you have to note in case of an optimal fit, right? So first of all, 3 important things that I have told you. What are they? That central touch, no central touch, right? No central touch, and then 2 edge touch. What does this mean? That contact lens should touch, over here you can see, it should not touch the cornea at the center, while it should be in touch with cornea at these edges, in right and left edges. Why is that so? Because the hard contact lenses are smaller in the size. So if they are not in contact with the corneal surface at mid periphery, this is basically mid periphery, this is the central region, this is the periphery, so here it is the mid periphery, right? So if the contact lens is in touch with the mid periphery, what will happen? That they will stay on the surface of the cornea and they will not be dislocated here and there temporally or nasally. That is why the cornea should be touching the contact lens at the mid periphery, while they should not be in touch with the central cornea. It doesn't mean that there should be a lot of space here. There should be a minor space between them. It should not be more steeper, nor it should be more flatter, right? So now I'm going to draw a surface of the cornea. This central region of the cornea is the apex, right? This region is the edge or periphery of the cornea, and over here this region is the mid periphery of the contact lens, right? So the contact lens ideally should be having 2 things, that it should not be touching the cornea. Contact lens should not be touching the cornea in the center, but they should be touching the cornea at the mid periphery, and again there should no touch in the periphery, right? So there should be no touch in the periphery. There should not be any touch at the apex. but there should be touch in the mid periphery so that it can be stabilized. Now the contact lens have some property that they are going to dislocate either temporally or nasally. So that is why the touch is important at the mid periphery, right? So this is the cornea. Again I am telling you, this is the periphery. This was the contact lens basically, this green one. So this is the surface of the cornea, and again this is the apex. This is the mid periphery here where the contact lens is present. You have to remember according to the contact lens. So where the contact lens is present, the edges of the contact lens is the periphery of the contact lens, while the between the areas of this, between center and periphery of the contact lens, we have the mid peripheral region of the cornea, right, or the contact lens. So the contact lens should be touching at mid periphery. There should be a touch, but they should not be touching at the edges and not even at the apex, right? So this is the ideal fit. Now how do you observe the fluorescein pattern? You observe it while asking patient to not blink, right? First you will see the contact lens position at rest, and then you are going to see the contact lens position at motion, or you can say that just after the blink. What will happen to the contact lens after the blink, and what happens if the contact lens is at rest? You are going to see that pattern, and by observing it you are going to conclude that either the steep fit is present or ideal fit or the flat fit. Now I am going to discuss that what is steep, what is flat, what is ideal fit, right? So here I have drawn two colors. One is the green color, that is or will tell you about the steepness, right? So wherever I am going to tell you about the steepness, I will be using the green color, right? And wherever I am going to tell you about the flatness, I will be using the black color to show the flatness, right? Okay, so now what steepness and flatness means, right? So this is the surface of the cornea if you view the cornea at the or from the side, right? So flatness means that something is in touch with the cornea, right? So if something is in touch with cornea, it is flat, right? So again I am going to tell you over here, it means that there is touch. So flatness means that there is a touch, and steepness means that this is a corneal surface and here the contact lens is not in touch. That is why it is steep. Now why I am saying that it is steep, you can see the curvature. It is more curved, right? It is more curved and it is not in touch. So that means that it is steep, right? So no touch. So steepness means no touch, while flatness means there is a touch. Here you can see the steepness or the curvature, the curve is not much, and there is a less curve of the contact lens, but over here you can see there is a much more curve, much more curvature than, or that is why it is more steep and it's not in touch with the cornea. That is why the steepness will tell you that there is no touch, while the touch will tell you that it is flat cornea. Now one more thing, that wherever there will be steepness, so I'll give you an example that if this is a specific area, if something is not in contact, there will be fluid, right? A fluid will be in an area where two things are not in touch. Again, let us discuss it with a water pipe. So here the water pipe is having a space, that the edges of the water pipe are not in contact, right? So there is a space between these two pieces of the pipe. So what will happen, that the fluid will be in this space. So fluid will be occupied in this area. So wherever the cornea and contact lens are not in touch, right, it means they are steep. Either you can say they are steep, either you can say they are not in touch. In that case, what will happen that the area will be occupied by the fluorescein, right? So whenever there will be fluorescein, what will happen? The green color will be shown. Why? Because of the phenomena of the fluorescence, that there is a fluorescein dye and that dye has been absorbing the light, and the blue light, the shorter wavelength light, is emitting now the longer wavelength light, and therefore there is a green color shown. And that is why this hole, this filling, this area which is having the green color is known as the pooling, right? So pooling will be there where the contact lens and the cornea is not in touch, right? Is not in touch. So you will see pooling in the area where both the contact lens and the cornea is not in touch. Over here you can see they are not in touch. There is a space. So dye will be over here, will be present between the contact lens and the cornea, and you will see the green color, the more green color over here, right? So when you see more green color, it means there is some, what is over there happening? There is pooling. Right, I hope this concept is now clear related to the pooling. Okay, so now we are going to move towards the flatness or the black area. So now if the pipe is closed, or you can say if there is no space between the two lines, this is one and this is other, okay, so whole, they are in touch with each other, two surfaces are in touch with each other. So over here there will be no dye, no dye can be filled over here, right? Why? Because there is no space between the two surfaces. In this case, what will happen, that the dye cannot be reached in the area between these two because they are in touch, right? So that means that it is this condition where there is no dye. This is known as the bearing, where the two surfaces are in touch with each other, right? And it can also be termed as the flattened area. So here the contact lens is flattened, or the contact lens is in touch with the cornea. That is why the dye is not filled in this region and we cannot see any kind of fluorescence. And the term you can use in the area, that blackened area, will be showing you the bearing, right? I hope this concept is now clear related to the steepness and flatness, right? So now this is the surface of the cornea, and the dye is, the contact lens is here in touch with the cornea, right? So the cornea and contact lens are in touch. What will happen, that there is no space for the dye to get filled in between the cornea and contact lens, and here you can see the curvature is very less. So there is a less curve, it's less curve, that means it is flat, they are in touch, right? So this means that it is the flat fit, it is in touch, and it will show the blackened area. And another term I have told you for the flat is bearing. So whenever you are going to see blackness in the contact lens fitting, you are going to know that this is the bearing, and bearing is due to the flatness, right? So I hope this concept is now clear related to the steepness and flatness now. So I have given you the basic concept of the steepness and flatness and about pooling and bearing that was needed for the fluorescein pattern assessment for the fitting of hard contact lens, right? So now over here we are going to now see some few patterns, that how can some patterns appear. First of all, the ideal fit is, what is an ideal fit? So here we are going to discuss about an ideal fit, right? So ideal fit was that I have told you that if it is at rest, so this is the surface, eye surface, and this is the cornea, and here the contact lens is resting, right? So the contact lenses are, hard contact lenses are raised or are present slightly raised, right, in a way they are located. So here, how we are going to see, you are going to see the pattern in such a manner that here is an eye and this is a cornea and this is the contact lens, right? So what does ideal fit means? Ideal fit means that the cornea and contact lenses over here, ideal fit means that they should not touch, there should be no peripheral touch, okay, but there should be a mid touch, and then it should not be touching the center. It's not that much more steepness means that this is the, okay, so more steepness means that it's actually like that. Okay, so you can see the difference. It's not, I have drawn the image, that is why it is maybe it may be appear more steepened, but what I mean is that there should not be much steepness nor much flatness. Okay, so now there should be a little steepness in the center or in the apical region. There will be a touch at mid periphery, and there will again no touch in the peripheral region or in the edge because of the tear exchange, so that there may be an adequate or enough tear exchange between them. The edges should not be in touch with the cornea. That is the reason whenever the patient will blink, the contact lens will move upward, and while it will move upward, the edges that have a tear exchange, they will, what they will do, they will allow the whole contact lens to have the tear exchange. Okay, so due to their consistent tear exchange, the edges are not in touch with the cornea. So apex is in touch, or apex should not be, sorry, in touch. The mid periphery should be in touch, and again the edges should not be in touch. So this is the ideal fit. Now this steepness is shown in this diagram very much, but basically how it will appear, it will appear as if the contact lens is properly aligned. It means that the contact lens is properly aligned to the cornea in an ideal fit, right? So you can see the here in this picture, you can see the actual thing which I want to tell you, that the apex should not be in touch, there should be a mid periphery touch, and the edges should not again be in touch. So this is the aligned contact lens. This is the ideal or optimal fit, where there should be consistent more, a little bit more pooling in the center, and then the light pooling in the apex region. Then there should be bearing in the mid periphery, not much bearing, it's just a little, and then again consistent, equal and consistent pooling in the whole contact lens, with more, again with more edge pooling, right? Because the contact lens should not be in touch with the cornea at the edges for proper tear exchange, right? So this is the ideal fit, and the fluorescein pattern that you will see will be little pooling, that is more vibrant in the center, right? Because the contact lens and they are not in touch, so you will see a little amount of touch, of little amount of pooling that is equal all over the contact lens, right? That is not even more and not even less. So you see more vibrant central pooling which is equal towards the periphery, and then the periphery is having more edge periphery is having more pooling, while there are some points that are the mid peripheral point where you will see bearing, right? So at mid periphery bearing, right? So this is mid periphery bearing and equal consistent pooling, equal consistent pooling. It means that there is, in the last lecture I have already discussed that contact lens and There is a difference between soft and hard contact lenses, that hard contact lenses do not touch the surface of the cornea, right? And they have a layer of tears between them. So in an aligned way, what will happen, that the tears are equally distributed all over under the cornea, right? So that is why you will see a consistent pooling in case of an ideal fit, right? So I hope this is clear now, how or the ideal fits will be, and the much more clear if I go. So are 2 point touches, right? So there are 2 point touch at the mid periphery and little pooling in the apex, while no that central pooling is vibrant and equal and consistent throughout the contact lens, which is increasing in the edge. So this is an ideal fit, right? So the 2 point touch means that the cornea and contact lens are in touch at mid periphery, in lateral and temporal, so that contact lens can be stable. They may not be displaced either at left or right? So this is all about the ideal fit. So this is an ideal fit. Okay, so I hope this is now clear. Okay, so now if we are talking about a steep fit, how do a steep fit appear? Again, while we are talking about, this is the cornea, right? This is the cornea, and while we are talking about a steep fit, it means that the cornea and contact lens are not in touch, right? There is no edge touch, there is a little mid periphery touch, but the space between cornea and contact lens is more, and it is more curved. It means it is more steeped. So what will happen, while the tears are going to exchange in this edge, right? They will come in this area, and the whole of the center is now pooled, right? So the dye is filled in this region, and what will happen eventually, you are going to see, this is an eye, because you are observing under the slit lamp, right? So this is the eye and this is the contact lens. So how it will appear? It will appear as much more. So this is our eye, this is the cornea, and this is the contact lens, right? So in the center, as you can see over here, there is a lot of pooling. So in this apex region, in this central region, you are going to see so much pooling that you are unable to see the pupil, right? There is a lot of central pooling or apical pooling in such a way that you are unable to see the pupil, right? You are unable to see the pupil in this case. So you are not be able to see the pupil. That is how, or that is what the steep fit means, that there will be central pooling, and of course there will be the peripheral pooling. Okay, this marker is going to die soon. So there will be central peripheral pooling, and there will be less pooling in the mid periphery with the mid peripheral touch. Okay, so this is how the fluorescein pattern in the steep fit would be looked like. But the only thing you will be knowing, or only way you are going to understand it, this central pooling or this apical pooling, which will not be consistent, which will be more vibrant as compared to the whole contact lens, right? And this is how you are going to see the more sharp greenery in the apical region, that you are unable to see the pupil, and this is how it will evaluate, or it will give you a hint that this is a this is a steep fit. So I hope this is now clear, that there will be more central pooling with two-point touch, or with bearing at the mid peripheral region, right? But that will be not that much. But the only thing that will tell you about the steep fit is the central pooling that enables the pupil to be viewed, right? So this is the steep fit. Hope the ideal fit and steep fit is clear. Now we have the third fit, which is the flat fit. Now what does flat fit mean? This is the cornea, and flat fit means that the contact lens is just touching the apex of the cornea, right? Okay, so it means that the cornea is only touching the contact lens at one point, that is at the center, right? So now the mid peripheral touch is over there, and the edges are also not in touch. So now how the flat fit will be appearing? So this is the eye, this is the cornea, and this is the contact lens. So now as you can see that in the center the cornea and contact lens are in touch. So when they are in touch, there will be bearing and there will be flatness and there will be the blackened area. It means that there is no dye. So you are going to see the darkness in the center as if the pupil is appeared, right? So this central bearing will indicate that this is the flat fit, right? So this central bearing and the edge pooling, edge pooling with mid periphery touch, the contact lens will appear like this, and again this region will have some light green color because the contact there are tears. That is why there is blackness, or why is there bearing, because the cornea and contact lens are in touch in the center. So you are going to see the central bearing with the peripheral pooling and two mid periphery touches, right? So only thing that I'm going to tell you over here, I'm going to draw a steep fit in order to for you to compare between the steepened and the flattened area. So there is so much over here pooling that you are unable to see the, I'll add the pictures also so that you can understand. So here there will be central pooling that will unable for you to see the pupil, right? So central pooling will detect or will tell you that this fit is steep, while central bearing will tell you that this the fit is flat, right? So this is how you are going to see the fluorescein pattern at rest. And what are you going to see fluorescein pattern in the motion, or in while or after the blink? You are going to see after the blink that either there is an unobstructed movement or not. So the contact lens should move up, there should be an upward unobstructed vertical movement. So it will go up, and within the 1.5 millimeters, or there should be a 1.5 millimeter movement of the contact lens, and it should reach just after 2 to 3 seconds back to its normal position. That this is the ideal movement of the, or ideal vertical movement, and the all about the fluorescein pattern is over here. So this is how you are going to assess that either the hard contact lens fitting is flat or ideal or steep. In some cases we on purpose make the steepened fit or the flattened fit, but I am not going to discuss that cases over here right now. This is the flat fit and this is the steep fit, and how the ideal fit appear I have discussed it already. I hope this is now very clear to you all, and in case of any query you can comment in comment section, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share it with your fellows so that they can also get the concept of the fluorescein pattern. Thank you so much.